guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast, and we appreciate you coming in and tuning in with us. We're gonna have a very interesting podcast tonight. We're gonna be talking about fish care, especially with the hot temperatures that it is right now. It is very important to be able to take care of these fish, put these fish back in the water as good, if not better, than how we got them out. But before we get started, we got some business to take care of. This episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits, Firefly Marine, Joe Burns Rods, YOLOtek, Spearpoint hooks, ProLine baits, and Cornfield fishing gear. Guys, make sure you go check them out and use the discount code DeckTalk10 and get your discount code. Another sponsor for the episode is Bill Dance Giant Bass Open. Make sure it is a year long for $45. You got a year-long tournament. You can win monthly prizes. Then if you're in the top of 5 of your regions, there's 5 regions. If you're in the top 5 of your region, you will make it to the championship part of it. It is going to be fished on a Bill Dance signature lake. So, you don't want to miss out on it for $45. You cannot miss it. It's a year long, so you can be able to fish whenever you want to, whenever you can get out on the water. It can be from a boat, kayak, or the bank. And so there's no reason for you not to do it. And just the enjoyment being able to, one, get out on the water, and then 2, to be able to compete with other people all in your regions. And so you can see your region, and you can see where you're ranked in the nation of the whole tournament. And so I know we have got a few fish that we have already put in on the Bill Dance Giant Bass Open. We've already got a few fish put on there. But guys, go do that. It is a fun little tournament, and you can do it as in length or weight, guys. So let's get this thing going. And I'm sure you know I'm Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J.
That's Pappy J. So, guys, we again, we're going to be talking about some fish care today. And this product that we are going to be talking about is the best that we have seen. Put it to work. And so, but guys, if you don't know, we've got Johnny Johnson and Mark Owens from FishLung. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. We deeply appreciate it. We've been looking forward to this ever since was talking to Jerry about it. So thank you guys for coming on.
Appreciate you having us.
And yeah, appreciate it. This is quite an honor. We appreciate y'all.
No problem. I just wish we could have got it going because could have got it y'all on here earlier. But just our schedule and stuff like that, we've just been crazy packed. And I mean, we're packed all the way through October. So glad that was able to get y'all slid in. And so one thing I want to know, like, how did y'all get into fishing? Like, how did you get started fishing?
My dad got me into fishing. He was a big time crappie guy, and that was back because I'm 56. So when I started fishing, it wasn't a sport. It was about putting meat in the freezer then. So,
right.
That's what got me into fishing, and started out with crappie fishing. And then when I had a son, and he got up around, I guess about 12 or so, my brother got him into bass fishing. And I'll tell you a quick story on that. They started bass fishing together, and I thought, well, man, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to bass fish. And I started looking for a boat, and I found something out in Houston. There was a boat broker out there that deals with repoed boats. And I called those folks. This is years ago too. They had an 18-foot Dynatrac with a 150 Johnson on it, and they wanted $12,000 for that boat. And I called them and offered $7,500, and they wouldn't take it. I kept watching their site, and about 2 weeks later, they had that boat up for $7,500. So I called them and offered them $5,000 for it, and they countered at $55,000. So I left out the next week and went and picked that boat up, and I guess that was it. From there on, we started tearing
That's
stuff
where you
up.
got it.
That's pretty much what you do.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
It's kind of a family thing. Dad got me going at a young age. I remember some of my earliest memories were on the water with Dad. So we fished and bass fished, and later in life we was crappie fishing together. So been a life
Yeah.
for me. So
Heck yeah.
So how did you go from fishing, like just growing up with the family and stuff like that, and then like Johnny with you getting the boat? How did y'all get into where to get to like FishLung? How did that get started?
Well, it started. It was just a group of us. It was friends that kind of kicked the thing off, and it was kind of a common thing that we all saw at almost every tournament. And if you stick around at any tournament for 3 hours after the weigh-in, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's a sickening sight. And it was just one of those things you get fed up with, and it was a kind of a collective decision that there's got to be a better way, and we went to work on it. And that was years ago, and this thing's been years in the making. And we did our Gen 1, and we it did okay, but we got a lot of feedback on that, and we listened to that feedback. We're pretty hard-headed old goats, but we did listen to that feedback from that first generation unit, and we put it to good use, and we came up with Gen 2, and we're really, really proud of that new system.
Oh yeah, that and the thing is, and I tell people, especially like if you're trying to start a business or trying to improve what you have, the biggest thing is to be able to take any kind of feedback, good or bad feedback.
Oh yeah,
and with seeing the difference. I haven't seen like the Gen 1, but the Gen 2, and just talking to Jerry about it, just the difference of how the changes that y'all did make was a good improvement on it.
Yeah, we reduced the size of it overall, which was essential. We also went from a 2-piece system to a 1-piece system. We got rid of a lot of manual valves and went all automated. So you flip the switch on your dash or wherever you've got your switch mounted. We've got a couple customers that have the switch actually back towards the bilge because it didn't have an open accessory switch on the dash. But most of the time, they just hook it up to an accessory switch on the dash, and you turn it on, it comes on, it does its thing, and when you're ready for it to be off, you flip it off. There's nothing else to it. And another thing that we did is we really cleaned up the filtering system on it. We got rid of some stuff that wasn't necessary, and the actual filters that filter out the nitrogen. We went to work hard on those so that it gives the end user options to be able to locate those and position those in just about any orientation. I mean, you could just about put them filters in your glove box and run that system all the way to your bilge, and then run the tube all the way back forward to a forward live well if you wanted to. You're not going to see a degradation in performance. The thing is just going to operate. And we really, we really want to work hard on that to be able to give that end user the ability and the flexibility to do it any way they wanted to do it. And that really is paying off, when it comes to the larger boats that we're working on down on the Gulf Coast and stuff.
Right. Yeah, because y'all are out of Florida, correct?
No, we're actually out of North Alabama, up around the Huntsville area.
Oh,
so y'all not too far from us then.
No.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff down on the Gulf Coast right now, and working redfish a lot, because that's kind of our next big thing, I think. And the picture I sent you, it was my very first red fishing trip. And what an incredible experience, man. Oh my goodness. So, that was a blast. I was able to take my grandson on that one too. So, you just couldn't ask for a more enjoyable educational trip for us, as a company, to be able to collect the data that we did and to be able to learn the way that we did about the species of fish that we were targeting, and to see him be able to do it, because he whacked them that day, man. He had a blast. So
that's the main thing, though, too.
Oh, and the smallest redfish I think we caught that day was in the 7-pound range, So it was just amazing to be able to do that. But we're most of that stuff, when you get in that really, really, you got to drive. You got to go to South Louisiana. You got to go to Texas. You got to go down into South Florida. You got to. So we're spending a lot of time, to get that data and to get that experience, because the anglers that are going to buy these things, they deserve us. They expect it, and they deserve us to spend the time to get this thing dialed in for them, so that they don't have to worry with that.
So what's the maximum gallon, I guess, that this thing your FishLung will operate effectively?
The FishLung series will easily do 50 gallons.
Wow.
Yeah, and we haven't seen anything in testing. I've pushed an 85 gallon tank to over 30 ppm. Now, obviously, you don't want to do that with fish in it, right. But I pushed it that hard just to see where we could take it. And if you've got like the offshore boats, the boats that go out, a little bit further, and they got the big 80 and 100 gallon bait wells, we've got a series for those boats as well, and that system will provide oxygen for up to 200 gallons. Now, we've got one guy that's doing some long-term testing for us, and we've got a system installed in a 600 gallon tank, and he's just doing minnows with it. And the crazy thing is, he's put minnows in it, and he feeds them, and they feed. And I don't know if you know this, but for bait to feed in captivity, they're no longer under stress. They will not feed if they're under stress. So
that's going to work for that's going to show like your work on your filter system too.
Yes.
I mean, because if you really want to test, that's how you can really test this. Because bait fish are really kind of trashy.
Yep.
And so
we've had a lot of success with that. That's really cool when people send you videos and say, "Hey, watch this," and they're having to feed their minnows because they're able to keep them so long. They just don't die in captivity. I mean, obviously they're going to die at a certain point. They don't live forever.
Right.
But it is cool when that guy sprinkled that feed into that tank at 600, because it's a pretty good sized tank. I guess it was 10 foot in diameter, and man, they just swore him to it. It was crazy.
Jerry says it's hard to take a great product and improve on it, but these guys did it. When I hit the bump tank and they take the fish out and they look at me and ask me, "What did you do to these fish?" all I need to say is FishLung.
There you go. I love that testimony. Love that testimony. Yeah. That's the word we've got to get spread, because the reason that we designed this, our original purpose was to stop post-tournament mortality, or at least knock a dent in it. Right. We're not going to stop it completely. I mean, we're not crazy. At least not completely. We know we feel like we can do that. We can knock a pretty good dent in post-tournament mortality. And in doing that, the side effect of that is, as a tournament angler, we can remove that stress of you having to worry about that fish in that live well now. Put it in there, and that highly oxygenated water is going to take care of your fish. And you don't have to worry with all the stuff that you've had to worry with in the past. You don't have to run back there and look at it and see if you need to add this or add that or put ice on him or whatever. You just turn the system on and go back to fishing.
So that was going to be my next question, was what separates your product versus the other products that's out there?
Well, Kim, we need to do this first, because I think we kind of jumped into FishLung and thinking we know what FishLung is, but a lot of people may not know what FishLung is. So can y'all explain what exactly FishLung is so everybody can kind of be on the same page, and then we'll kind of go into that. Not to try to interrupt, Pappy, but
So what FishLung is an oxygen concentration system that was designed specifically for a boat. When I was telling that story about that boat earlier, man, we broke and tore up more stuff in that boat than every time I turn around, we were working on it. So we knew, and we've all done the same thing. I mean, you get an aluminum boat, you think you're not going to do it, you knock dents in it and scratch it, and next thing you know, you got someone welding a hole in it. So we just beat them to death, right? So we know that the boats are going to be just brutalized, and everything in it's going to take a beating. So the system was designed from the ground up for a boat to be mounted in as equipment, and to be serviced annually so that you can run it for years. But it is an oxygen concentration system, very similar to what you would buy at a medical store if you needed oxygen and you didn't want to be burdened by the tank. The system puts out anywhere from 93 to 95% oxygen at a very consistent 0.3 to 0.35 liters per minute flow rate. So it's very continuous. And then that oxygen is injected straight into your live well. And what happens once it goes into your live well is water is very much water as to how it relates to oxygen. It's like a sponge, and it has soaked that oxygen up from that system, from those bubbles. It just kind of absorbs that oxygen out of the bubble, and then your parts per million of oxygen in the live well just skyrockets. And because of that, your fish are never in a situation to where they're suffocating in your live well, because that's more times than not what's killing your fish in your live wells. They're running out of oxygen, the same as you would if you got locked in a freezer. You're going to run out of oxygen, and when that happens, that's when oxygen deprivation happens. That's when brain damage begins to happen, and if that fish is in there long enough, that fish will suffer from brain damage. It may still be alive, but when you release it after that tournament, that's what post-tournament mortality is brain damage. And that brain damage, as a result of that brain damage, that fish is going to perish. It is going to die. It cannot survive in the wild, period.
Well, you think about this. The live well technology hasn't changed 50 years.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty much still the same.
Yeah.
Still,
we had a couple weeks ago, we had a marine biologist on, and he was talking, we were talking about like, what's the best way that they've seen as a biologist, what's the best way to be able to keep fish healthy and alive in the live wells. And I brought up G juice because that was the first thing that popped up in my mind. And he says, well, the thing about any kind of liquids and stuff that you can buy that's supposedly supposed to help fish live and get them healthy and stuff in the live well, is you look on the back, there's no ingredients on it. They are not FDA approved. And he says, and us as fishermen, we have to think about what we're doing when the fish are in our care. If we're putting G juice in it, I don't want to keep on calling out G juice because I'm not trying to bash them by no means. Yeah. But if you keep on putting product into your live well that you're thinking that it's helping to where you can get to the weigh-in line, but he said, but you also have to think about the next time that fish gets caught, that person that catches it may be taking that fish home to eat. So whatever you're putting into that fish stays into that live well can get into that fish And
What
so
the biggest
but then
advantage
we brought up FishLung on it.
the biggest advantage to your additives like G-Juice or any of the rest of them is really two things. Number one, they're going to help neutralize chlorine that you're going to get from when people add ice. And the second big thing, really, and this is probably the biggest thing, is the salt that's in it helps with the slime. And the slime is critical, man. You got to, when we throw those fish up onto the carpet or deck or whatever and you damage that slime, it is paramount that you get that slime back. So that additive does have a high sodium content, and that helps a lot with that. And there's several good products for that. So, but the reality is, if you take a trash bag and you poof it open, the air we're breathing right now is 21% oxygen. The air inside that trash bag is 21% oxygen too. But the moment you pull it down over your head and you seal it shut around your neck and you start consuming it, it's no longer 21%. All right. So that's essentially what's happening in a live well once you drop fish in it. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that's going to keep you alive shy of ripping that bag open other than putting oxygen into the bag with you. So you can't run oxygen down through an electrical wire. You can't pour oxygen into a live well. Ice is not oxygen. And in fact, I'll tell you, we've done this test many times. Hydrogen peroxide. Man, when you put a $1,500 meter in a tank and you pour hydrogen peroxide in and it does absolutely nothing, what's it doing?
Yeah.
You take a bag of ice, you put that meter in that bag in that tank, and you've got so much oxygen there, right? You've got 12 parts per million dissolved oxygen in that water. All right, what happens when you drop that ice in? Because cold water will hold oxygen better, you get an instant spike in your ppm reading. Okay, what you're doing is you're fooling the meter. Okay, because the water temperature drops instantly. All right, so your meter shoots skyrocket. It'll jump up 6-7 ppm all of a sudden. All right, but if you'll give it a few minutes and let that ice melt into that water, that ppm will come back down. And this happens every single time we do this test. That water is made, or that ice is made from tap water. So more times than not, tap water has a very low oxygen percentage, normally down around 6 ppm. So if you've got 12 ppm in your live well and you drop a bag of ice in it and that ice melts into water and it's 6 ppm, you just went from 12 ppm to 10. Happens every time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Now, you did cool the water a little bit, but you lost 2 ppm out of it. And then you dump another bag in it and you lost some more.
Right.
We do that just to show people.
Right. Now, because it can go, you were talking about that you got it to where fresh water and salt water, correct?
Yeah.
So is there a different filtration system with it being with salt water?
No, because see, your filtering is the air. All right. So what happens?
Okay.
It's got a small compressor inside the box. Okay. That compressor forces air across your filters. The filters trap and hold the nitrogen molecules because nitrogen molecules and oxygen molecules are a different size. All right. So it holds those nitrogen molecules. Oxygen molecules will go through and they end up in your live well. And then, because it cycles every 8 seconds, it goes from filter A to filter B, filter A, filter B. It goes back and forth. So for 8 seconds, it forces air through one filter. It holds that nitrogen. Oxygen passes on through. At the end of that 8 seconds, it reverses and pushes that nitrogen back out. And then it swaps over to the other filter and repeats the process. That's how the oxygen, and what we're doing is we're catching nearly all of the nitrogen as a result. That's why we're getting such a high purity level. And when you can put 95% oxygen into a tank of water, man, it just skyrockets the ppm. I did a quick little test today because I'm going through some stones to do some testing, and And I like to watch that first hour, that 1 hour. How much can I raise the ppm in a tank of water from in a 1 hour, in that first 60 minutes? And I went from 6.6 ppm to 22.6 ppm in 1 hour. That's an astronomical jump to be able to do that. And that's the recovery that we're looking for, because when you can rapidly recover like that, when you drop that fish in, when you hook that fish has no idea that you intend to release it. All you're going to do is hold it. You're going to weigh it, hold it up, take pictures, and then take it back to the lake. That fish is hooked, and it thinks, I'm about to die. It's instinctively fighting for its life. So it's fighting to the death, and it will.
Yeah.
So when it gets to the boat, it's worn out. So its oxygen consumption is completely through the roof. So you want that really rapid recovery, that first hour high performance, to be able to jam that oxygen back into that water. Because, if you get on a school, you might drop 3 or 4 in there in an hour.
Yeah.
So you need that.
Got a couple questions. One of them says, could FishLung be used for a saltwater aquarium?
How big? Do we know?
When they respond, I'll come back to that.
My initial response is no, and I'm going to tell you why. In a long-term storage type of deal where you're putting fish in a tank, and your intent's to keep them for months and months and months, right? I don't know that it would be healthy to raise the ppm that high on them all the time. I'm not a biologist. I can't answer that. And now I will tell you this: you're not going to over-oxygenate fish or bass in a 35, 40-gallon live well over 8 hours. That's not possible. You're not going to do that.
Right.
But over long-term storage, you could quite possibly over-oxygenate those little fish in that aquarium. So I don't know.
100 gallons.
100 gallons?
Mm-hmm.
Well, our first of all, our system is designed for 12 volts. So,
yeah, it is. It is designed for 12 volts. And that's a good point, Mark. Thank you.
And then another one says, if you drop the temperature more than 5 degrees, those fish are in trouble because of shock.
Bingo. That's a very good point. A lot of people don't realize that, and they just keep stacking the ice in, and the next thing you know, you've got a difference of 5, 6. I've always heard 7. And what you do is you create an environment where you pull them out of water that's over 7, 8 degrees from the live well to the lake. You drop them into the lake, put fish in shock. They die anyway. Yep. So it's best that you oxygenate water, in my opinion, that's close to the temperature of what you're going to release them back into.
Fish are flooded. They're going to gravitate. That's why you see fish in the early morning hours in the lily pads and the shallow, because they gravitate to where the oxygen is. They don't care what temperature it is. They can function just as well in cold as they can hot. They want oxygen.
I believe that. For years and years, we thought they directly related to temperature. And now that we've been doing this, I'm not so sure that they don't directly relate to oxygen, which it does to a large degree parallel temperature. But man, it does explain why in the heat of the summer, because I'm from South Central Mississippi, and the lakes are, if you find 15, 20 feet, that's a deep lake. And you find 3 foot of water in lily pads, and it's 100 degrees outside, you will find fish there too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it don't matter. I mean, because it could be, that water temp could be in mid 90s and they're still going to be. I mean, Florida's the best example of it. It could be 100 degrees and that water temp, we were down there right after I cast, and that water temp was like 95, 96 degrees.
Yep.
And, but then the bass were right up in that. And I mean, even bass, shell cracker, and bluegill and stuff were all up in the lily pads.
We went. Go ahead, Mark. We went down to Houma. This was really cool. The gentleman that was hosting us on that test, it was interesting to see how the lake that we were in, the difference in ppm of the lake water. And when we got around vegetation, especially when the sun come out, to see how much higher the ppm would be, you would see differences of 2.5 ppm in lake water just by moving around. And if you got up close to the vegetation and the sun popped out, man, we were getting readings of 8.5 ppm right there in the lake, which is fantastic. And you get out where you think you would have some good water, and we would get readings of 6, 5.5, and 6. And we're like, wow. So
would you see a difference? And like, let's say you're going up and you said if you go over to like the lily pads and that sun comes out, would you see a difference in between if the sun's out or if it's a cloudy day or something?
I think so, because that's going to activate the plants and because the plants is what's generating the oxygen, and that's what they react to the sunlight.
That is very interesting. So let's see. I sent a couple more questions.
So back the question that I was asked after you explained. So what separates your product from, or what separates FishLung from other competitors out there?
When you say competitors, you mean like other products that are on the market to
right? Like, yeah.
Well, most of the stuff like a bubbler or a spray head or any of that, those devices work off atmosphere, which is 21%, 20.9% oxygen to be precise. And man, it's crazy. We do these tests over and over and over, and the results are always the same. You're going to top out when all you're able to work with is 21% oxygen. You're going to top out somewhere around 8.5 ppm, and that's it. So if you're starting at 6.5, you're gonna hit 2 ppm elevation, and you're done, and that's it. You could take that spray head, and you could put 10 of them in it, and you think, well, if I get 2 for this one, and I got 10, I should get 20 ppm elevation. Nope, you're going to go to 2, and you're going to stop because you're working with air, and that's the limitation. It's not the equipment. It's what the equipment's working with, and it's air, not oxygen. Now, when you go to an oxygen tank and you're putting medical grade oxygen into the live well, now those are fantastic systems. It's essentially the same thing that we're doing. The difference between the two is tanks are high pressure, and that inevitably makes them dangerous. Tanks are simply not meant for the general public. You've got a high pressure valve. You got a high pressure tank. You've got a valve. You got a regulator. And what we're being told from the guys that run those systems is a lot of times the regulators are somewhat unreliable and undependable. So you've got to deal with that. And then there's a lot of unanswered questions that come up with pressurized tanks. Is it an insurance liability? Can you cross state line with it? If you do, can you get it filled somewhere else? So you got logistics issues. Are you supposed to, because if you're running it in a truck and delivering it, it's supposed to be stood up. Are you supposed to stand it up in your boat? I mean, it's just all sorts of stuff. So we eliminate all that, and it's not cheap either. I don't know if y'all have priced one of those systems. They're not cheap. So we can provide the same performance or better without all of those questions, without all of those concerns.
Yeah. Another guy says, how big is the box or is FishLung for, I've got I really don't have a lot of room in the back of my boat for it. So how big is it to where I can be able to manage to get it in?
They will fit. The beauty of our system is it's smaller than a battery. The box is about the same size to smaller than a cranking battery. But the beauty of our system is you can mount that box in a dry storage compartment. You can mount it up under the front deck. It doesn't have to be in the bilge area. All you have to do is be able to run your airlines from the box to the filters, and then from the filters to the live well. So it's not it's segments. It's not a package thing that has to go in the bilge area.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's smaller than a what is it? A Group 24. It's about the size of a lawnmower battery, of a large lawnmower battery.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of them bulkhead mounted, and I think we've got one of them that's mounted completely upside down.
Yeah.
So
Really? Yeah. Because I've seen them where people's put them in their one of their rod lockers and stuff like that as well. Because they'll have like a battery for their forward facing sonar, and then I've seen it where it's sitting right next to the battery on the forward facing sonar, and then just run it straight back to the live well. But it's also had it to where they can they had it a toggle switch there on the console as well.
Yep.
So
and,
hopefully that helped you out, Paul.
And we've also used Bluetooth switches in the past. We've got a few of these mounted on Bluetooth switches. You can buy those on Amazon, and they work great. You just hook it straight to your battery, and then put the control or the key fob up close to the helm. Up there where you can get it. If you're lacking a switch, those seem to work really well.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. With every product on a boat seems like it's going to an app. Do y'all have an app to where you can tell the oxygen that is in the water?
We had an app early on in prototyping of Gen 1, and we went away from it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because to have an app, you have to have a processor. To have a processor, you run the price up considerably. And we wanted to get away from that, because an oxygen concentrator, if you go on Google and you search it right now, a medical grade, which is not putting out near the oxygen we do, these things start off in the $3,000 range. And we knew that's just not practical for the fishing industry. So in order to try to keep that price low so it's practical for our industry, we did shave that processor off of it and got rid of the app. And another thing, apps are expensive too. So we got rid of the app, we got rid of the processor. And also you got to keep in mind that was during the COVID period. And man, chips were hard to come by, and it was just one thing after another trying to deal with that. So we did away that one time we actually had a touch screen on it. So you could interact with the thing, but we dropped all of that and went straight to just a live well device. All the settings are preset, so that you don't have to worry with it. But that's
just pretty much just plug and go, though.
Yes. Now I will tell you this: for those that don't know, Icon Boats offers FishLung as a factory option. Now, what they've done with their boat control system is they run it through it, and they've pre-programmed some options, some run options, because once it's plugged into their system, then they can set their software to control it however they want to. And man, what a unique way to do it. I love what they're doing with it. I mean, they've already got Icon is just the cutting edge on what they're doing, man. They make a fantastic boat. I love what they're doing. And the way that they integrated this system, it just makes you sit back and just grin. I mean, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
Because they
and
job.
And it has to make y'all feel good to see another company take your product and put it onto their product and make it to where it's going to be feasible for the anglers and stuff that's getting on their boats.
Yes.
And so, and just to see to where just just a matter of pushing a few buttons that you can change whatever you need to change if you wanted to. I mean, because it's not, I never had to even change anything on it. And again, it's just pretty much just plug in and go.
Yep.
And so, but to me, I mean, that would make me feel good to know one that, I mean, yeah, Icon hasn't been around as long as Ranger or Triton or any like the older boats and stuff, but they're on the top of the technology wise of bass boats. And to see that they thought enough of your product to have it on their boat, that says a lot.
Yeah. We're super pleased with that. That was a big moment for us. A lot of work went into that, and they've done just an outstanding job with it. So
how can people be able to get, if they're wanting to purchase FishLung, how are they able to purchase it?
Well, you can go, first off, you can go online, fishlung.com, and you can place an order there. And we're presently working to get our website updated so we can list out our dealers. We do have a network of dealers. It's not large right now, but we're getting there where you can go and purchase through them, and some of them are dealers and installers. So you'll be able to get it, purchase through them and get it installed as well. That's it. If you've got questions, you can go online. You can call us on the 1-800 number. If you don't get an answer, leave a message. We'll get back with you. You can leave an email on the website, or you can get in touch with us on social media. I think we're on all of them. I've got all this gray, so I can't tell you what all that means. I know what Facebook is.
Yeah. So, Mark, is there anything you want to add to it?
Pretty much covered it all. We're just trying to make the sport better for future generations, and we feel like what we're doing is the right way to do it. Fish is these things, they stress out so much when you catch them, and they need that opportunity to recover, and we give them that opportunity. Our system does.
Yep. And Mark
Here's
reminded me.
another one. A guy says that he fishes out of South Florida, and he does a lot of inshore fishing. But he says, does FishLung does it have like a splitter on it to where I can do one for my bait tank and one for the live well, or do I have to get two separate ones?
No, as long as his total capacity is not over 30 per, we can do both of those. Now, when he makes his order, just tell him to, well, I guess I'm telling him, just put in the comments or reach out to us. We can provide you with a ball valve so that if you want to isolate and send it all to one, you can shut that valve off. Or if you want it to go to both, you can open that valve up. Just reach out to us. We can solve those little problems like that. That's easy. Now, I will say this, depending on how much stuff you do, if you're close to the coast, you're probably going to want the saltwater version because it's fully prepped for the salt environment. You don't have to worry about any corrosion. We've had a lot of systems down in that. We did a lot of preliminary testing early to make sure that we had that thing right before we released it down there because, man, you get down there, it just wrecks everything. So we wanted to make sure we were ready for that task, I guess you would say. So, and I do want to say one other thing. If you are a student, and we don't care if you're junior high, high school, or college, there's a 15% discount for you. If you are military or first responder, there's a 15% discount for you as well. And if you have a Gen 1 system, we will swap that system out for free for a Gen 2. We've been doing that. We have recalled every one of the Gen 1s and replaced them with a Gen 2 because we want our customers to have our best. And that's been ongoing. It has been at no cost to the customer. And for us, I mean, let's be realistic. For us, it's cheaper to maintain one system than two. So in the long run, it will be more advantageous for us to do this. But it has been a big task to do this. But if you've got a Gen 1 system, call us. We want it back. We want you to have our best. And another thing, too, man, our industry is full of a lot of gadgets that have one purpose, and that's to empty your wallet. We are not one of those. If you buy our system and you do not feel it's worth the money, you contact us within 30 days and we will refund the money. You send it back, we'll refund the money. We are not a gadget, and we are not here to take your money. We are here to provide you a viable working product that meets a need. And if you don't feel it does that, we will buy it back.
Yeah. And that to me, that makes total sense of wanting to only have to, when somebody calls up, you already know that, hey, this is going to be a Gen 2. So if I got an issue, you're not having to worry about, was it Gen 1, Gen 2. That to me, and it saves a lot of headache, one on y'all's end. And then it also makes the customers feel like, man, these guys are it, because I bought the older version, and so now I'm able to just swap out and get the new version. For me, that is huge.
Well, we're legitimate, man. Every one of us have been down that road where you buy something, and 3 weeks later it's obsolete, and the better one came out or whatever, and that just sucks, and we don't want to do people that way.
Are you still calling the saltwater version the bait lung?
It depends on what the purpose is. If your intent is for bait, yes, that is a bait system. Now, those are, we have a full-size Premier is what it's called. Those are going to be for your larger boats, like your front runners and your boats that have 70 plus gallon, 80 gallon bait wells and stuff. Yes, that is a larger system. But we have what we found out, again, we're learning, because we're from North Alabama, and you start talking about salt water, it's a lot we don't know. And one of the things we found out, for every one of those big, beautiful, gorgeous boats with 4 motors across the back, there's 150 to 200 of them that's still 18 foot to 22 foot, 23 foot that looks very similar to a bass boat. So we have what we call a bait lung compact, and that system is a smaller system. It's a more economical system, and it is fully prepped for saltwater, and it is significantly smaller, and it will do easily 50, 60 gallons. And if you use croaker, you use shrimp, we've had a tremendous amount of success keeping shrimp alive, and everything we're being told is shrimp is it's the Mac Daddy of bait. It's the tough one. If you keep it alive, you've done it. You've done your job. So really.
So is there any difference that you want to be able to keep the oxygen level up to when you're dealing with bait? Then does it have to be higher then, or does it have to be lower than what you want? Like if you're putting bass in a live well.
Believe it or not, bass are one of the easier fish, especially like a largemouth, because bass are kind of lazy, right? And then you got a spot, and then you've got smallmouth. But the reason that I think shrimp are so hard to keep alive is because they're so delicate. They're so fragile to start with. So they're prone to injury already. So it's best to keep as much oxygen in the water as you can. And again, in bait, I mean, the intent's to put every one of them on a hook by the end of the day anyway.
Right.
But the intent for the bait is, number one, you want to keep it alive, but mainly for the bait, you want that bait to be as lively as you can possibly keep it, because that improves your bite ratio.
Yeah.
And I love hearing it when our guys reach back out to us and say, "Man, this has really improved my fishing." You know, whether it's a guide or whether it's a pro that tells us that, I love hearing that, because that means it's working.
When they're reaching in the bait well and pulling out bait that's been hooked before and can't the difference between those and a fresh bait, our system is doing what we designed it to do.
Yeah. That's crazy. Because usually after I hook a bait, and if I'm making a move, I just take that bait off and just chunk it into the water. It's a herring food now. So,
Yep.
but heck yeah. So, and it's going to be interesting because we're going to hear, let's see. Actually, next week, we got Damon's coming on with extreme bait tanks. So it's going to be interesting to see, because that's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask him what his oxygen level in those tanks, because those are pretty good tanks. I've got buddies that have them, and I want to see. I wonder if he's even thought about what he's keeping the oxygen level, what he's able to.
We spoke to him at the East Tennessee show at Knoxville.
You were there?
Yeah. And listen, I'm gonna tell you something, man. We could stick an oxygen tube into his what's that system called? The Venturi. There we go. Yeah, we could stick an oxygen tube in that thing. I'm pretty sure we could make it to Mars. I'm just saying here.
He's got a really good product.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. And we've got buddies that one of them's a guide and he does live bait fishing and stuff. And I mean, that's his livelihood, is keep making sure them bait stays alive. And he said this was the best tank that he's found. But I can imagine I'm going to tell him, because I've never even thought about even telling him about FishLung for it to be in the bait tank until you said something earlier, Johnny. And so, I mean, because by the end of the day, now, I mean, I was out on the water and it said 96 degrees out on the boat. And at 96 degrees, I don't care. It's hard who you are. It's hard to keep bait alive in 96 degrees.
Yep.
And you're sitting and all you're doing is just baking. And so if you're baking, then the bait's baking. So
I was going to say, I mean, forget about the bait. It's hard for me to stay alive at night.
It's hard to stay out there, isn't it? I'll tell you a test that we did last year, and it's probably not something I should say because it might get me a ticket. But anyway, we took a glass tank and we put it on a tailgate, spray-in bedliner tailgate. Of course, they're all black. And one of our partners, he brought me a smallmouth that morning, and we pulled water out of the live well, put over into that 29-gallon tank. We put about 20 gallons of water in it, and we put about a 2-pound smallmouth in that tank, and backed the truck, put the FishLung Gen 2 in it, backed the truck out into the sunlight, and it was late summer, and the water temperature reached 96 degrees that day. And I had planned for an 8-hour test. And at the end of the test, our ppm was 22. The fish was just as chill acting as I'd ever seen. It wasn't stressed. It didn't act like anything was bothering it. And I'd planned for an 8-hour test, and it dawned on me at the end of the test. I said, man, I can't go release a fish that's in 96-degree water back into the river to kill it. So I said, well, I have no choice but to keep the fish overnight and let this water cool back down to, So I left the system running and pulled the truck underneath the shed, and I went inside. I come back out that night at 10, and fish just seemed perfectly fine. I come out the next morning at 6, and it looked at me like, "Did you bring coffee?" I mean, it was just this crazy, man. Beautiful color to the fish. His eyes were clear. Like I went back inside. I told my wife, I said, "I need you to get ready and go to the boat ramp with me and film something." And we did just that. And at the end of that, when I released that fish had been in that 20 gallons of water. No 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 additives, no ice, same water, nothing. Just in a glass tank for 25 hours. And we do have that video. It's on Facebook. I think it's on all of our platforms, in fact. And I released that fish, and the moment I let that fish go, man, it acted like it had just caught it. It in a blink of an eye, it was 20 feet away from me. It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is it probably had never had that much oxygen in its whole life
Yeah.
in a lake. And
Yeah.
and to be able to, for me, smallmouths are harder to keep alive than even just a regular largemouth. Because which y'all know, with being in Alabama and stuff, and being on the with the Tennessee River and stuff, all our fish wants that cooler, moving water, especially the smallmouth. And to be able to, for y'all to put it in a live or in a aquarium and to keep it for 25, 26 hours or however long you had it, and to keep it where it's not stressed out, that says a lot about the product.
I was so amazed and pleased, obviously. Very reluctant to tell anyone about that video. But when our social media guy saw it, he said, "Dude, you've got to." And I said, I may end up with a ticket out of it, but whatever. We got to post it. So
Are y'all seeing the comments, like the Steve Burnett comment? Did y'all?
Yeah. I was just fixing to get to that. If you're seeing it, go ahead, and if you got an answer for it, go ahead.
Okay, Steve. That's the goal, is the everyday angler to become interested in this, because our whole mission from the start was preserving the resource for our future anglers, our grandkids and their kids, and all that stuff. We think it's important to preserve this resource, because it could very well become a time that we're not able to fish because there's nothing to fish for. So yes, that was our main goal starting out, was to see the everyday fisherman. We want to see it in every boat. Fish care starts in the live well. It doesn't. It's not the bump. It's not a bump tank scenario. It's a live well thing. The damage is done in the live well. So that's our goal. That's what we're hoping for.
And John Pate says, what fish formula is recommended the most for your product?
The only formula is to plug it up and turn it on.
There you go.
Yep. Now, if you want to use it, you can use any of them. Yeah. Like we were saying earlier, that fish form is going to do two things that are essential. It's going to help with the slime, and if you do use ice, it will help neutralize the chlorine that's in the ice if you're using bag ice. But we have guys that don't do anything anymore but just turn the system on and put fish in it. They quit using their recirculation. They've quit using ice. They quit using the formulas. They use product only. The way that I like to use it, launch a boat, and once you get out of the boat ramp area, go on and fill your live wells up, because your water is going to be a little bit cooler there than it would be, say, at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, because it's normally then before I catch a fish anyway. Go on and get some water in your live well, turn the system on, jack that oxygen up, and really you're set for the day at that point. Don't swap your water out. Don't do anything. There's a lot of myths out there, and I don't want to say myths. There's a lot of things that we just didn't know, because
Yeah.
that old saying, you don't know what you don't know. So we kind of look for things to blame the fish dying on, and the reality is it was just simply lack of oxygen.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is, and kind of to go off what you were just saying, Johnny, about like as soon as you get the boat in the water and you may be idling to get out of the no wake, fill up that live well, and get everything going. Because then I kind of refer back to Stephen Barton with the marine biologist. He was saying to make sure that you keep that fish at the top as healthy as possible to be able to put that fish back in water within 2 minutes of the time you get it out of water.
Yep.
So,
And yes. So you're instantly into the tank,
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah.
Laker Howell, he uses the product. He uses.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And in which he just won the Open here.
Sure did.
And so
he told us he caught that fish, that his biggest fish of the day, he caught right in the early part of the morning, right off the bat. And of course it's mid-August, and I've heard people say, "Man, I've ended up releasing that fish to keep from getting a dead fish penalty," because, and he kept it alive and healthy all day.
Yeah, and again, guys, that's what the whole purpose of us bringing Johnny and Mark on is, because we want like future generations down to be able to enjoy the fish that we're catching. So we think that it's important, and we believe in this product. So that's the reason why we have them come on, and that's the reason why we've had the biologists come on, to where you're getting a different point of view. It's just not somebody just trying to give a sale pitch, trying to sell the product. The product has actually been used, and so in which Jerry, he just commented on here. He says 13-year-old Hunter has one in his boat and loves explaining it when people look at his setup at tournaments. At our first stop, he'll turn it on and doesn't have to worry about the fish all day. He tells people that FishLung is just as important as his trolling motor, in which anybody that follows the podcast for any length of time, we have had Jerry and Hunter on, and in which Hunter has been tearing up the Bill Dance Big Bass Splash. And it seems like every time I turn around and he's fishing in one, he's at the end of the weekend, he's holding up some kind of check. So, it's doing something for him.
The cool thing about doing what we're doing is meeting and working with all of these young folks, man. What a blast, and what an honor to be able to do that. That is the coolest part of it is, everybody wants to make a living in an industry they love. But man, what a cool thing, and sort of a responsibility that we take on, that we want these guys to have the opportunities that we've had. And the scary thing is this world that we live in now, where if things aren't exactly the way that it needs to be, well, we'll just make another law,
Yeah.
And this is our sport, and this is our resource. And if you think about it, we are the caretakers of it. So it is our responsibility. And if we want to keep lawmakers out of our business, it is up to us. And I kind of compare this, and this, I'll date myself on this one. Y'all remember the old commercials that used to come on back when there was 3 networks and there was before cable and all of that, and about someone throwing trash out the window and the Native American, it hitting the Native American and him crying. Okay. That to me is kind of like where we're at in the bass fishing industry. are we doing what we need to do to protect it?
Yeah.
And that's where I see it. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy right now in the industry, forward facing sonar and all of that. Or what are we, is it hurting the sport? Is it helping the sport? Is it making it better? But man, we got to stop throwing that trash out the window. We got to stop hurting our resource. And that to me is bottom line.
Yeah.
That is true. And so let them worry about other things besides what the fishermen are doing. I mean, the wake boats are enough trouble as it is. So let them crack down on that. So, well, Mark and Johnny, we have had you on for a little over an hour, and I know that we appreciate your time coming on here. We do have one more question that we ask everybody that comes on.
Hey,
Pat,
Colin, before we get to that question, let's do this right quick. We're going to start a thing for veterans. We're giving a shout out for veterans. We're going to do it every episode. So anybody that has a family member, a friend, or anything and it doesn't matter, past or present, if you would email it to Deck Talk, to the Deck Talk podcast, their name, what theater that they were in, or if they were just even in the military, what branch, and preferably what year. That way we can give a proper shout out to these guys, men and women, because there's not enough said for our veterans.
If you do, it's if you can just send it to my email, which is Colin Burnett at Deck Talk Podcast. Just send that information, and if you happen to have a picture, we can throw the picture up as well. So, yes. So we that's one thing that we are wanting to do, which Pappy don't talk too much about it on here and stuff, which he served. And so we deeply appreciate it, and we want to tell everybody that has served, thank you so much, because we would not be able to do what we're doing if it was not for them guys. And so, because some gave all, but what is it? All gave some, but some gave all. So we definitely appreciate it, and which we was talking to Johnny and Mark, and which they were telling us about them serving, and some family members that have served, and people that work there at FishLung. So we're going to have them send us that, and we're going to throw them honorable mentions and stuff on the podcast as well. Because again, thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, Pappy.
All right, guys. So Johnny and Mark, if there was one guy or one person that you could fish with, past or present, doesn't matter when, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna have two answers.
Okay.
I would love to fish with Bill Dance for obvious reasons, because he's been a part of this sport, and in my eyes, I've never not seen that man. He's just, you talk about a pillar. He's a pivotal point of this sport, in my opinion. He's not just a cornerstone. He's like the center. So I would say Bill Dance. That would be answer one. The next one's my dad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what and everybody's answers is different. We've had a lot of my dad, my mom, or my grandparents, or something like that. And then we've had people say some pro anglers and stuff like that. And it's for us, it's very interesting to see where people try to think, because it's not a question that is really asked a lot, but it's one of those, once you get kind of thinking, you're like, man, it would be nice. And so that's the reason why we ask it, because we just want to know, to be honest. So but guys, we want you to go to FishLung's was it FishLung.com,
Yep.
and check out the product, order the product. And again, if you're a student, it doesn't matter if any kind of school up to
All the way
middle
to
school, all kinds of schools, to college, to military,
First responders.
then first responders and stuff like that. You're going to get a little discount and stuff like that on top of it. Go to FishLungs on the social media, which I know it's on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not for sure if it's on. Is it on TikTok? Do you know?
We are.
Okay, so I need to go and follow them on TikTok. I follow them on every other platform, but go check them out. I'm going to put the link in for their social media and for their website in the description. So it's going to be just an easy click for y'all to be able just to come back and be able to click on it. But guys, thank you for coming on and giving us the information about FishLung. Some of the stuff that the questions that was asked, like I didn't even think about, even with using it as a bait in the bait tank. I just always thought about just where I'm throwing my bass in the back, and making sure that they're staying live and healthy and stuff. But and to the people that watch, we cannot thank you enough. We wouldn't be able to do it if it was not for y'all. So if we can get y'all to smash that like button, hit that subscribe, share this out, and next week we are going to have Damon with Extreme Bait Tanks, and this episode, just from here on, is just going to be just full of interesting episodes. We're going to have Ish Monroe, Clifford Perch, Edwin Evers, and so on. Still coming on here. We're booked all the way out to the end of October. So we hope that y'all have a blessed day, and we will catch you next week and see you out on the water, guys.
See you.
Y'all take care.